So, shall we start? Good afternoon, sir. So, shall we start the session? Education is not learning of facts, but the training of mind to think. A very good afternoon to one and all. A day without prayer is a day without blessing, and a life without prayer is a life without power. To begin with, let us start the session with a moment of silent prayer. A warm welcome to all of you for day 2 of the National Level Faculty Development Program on Synergy of Sustainability and Technology Innovation Viksit Bharat 2047. It's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to our esteemed resource person, Dr. Ankit Saxena, Associate Professor at Institute of Business Management, GLA University, Mathura. Mr. Saxena is a director medalist from Dayalbagh Educational Institute, Dayalbagh, Agra. Sir will take us in the learning journey of green finance, the digital economy, and policy framework for Viksit Bharat 2047, reflecting our commitment to shaping an innovative and sustainable future for India. On behalf of the entire Kristu Jayanti family, a warm welcome to you, sir. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Madhu Dhruva Kumar, Head Department of Commerce. I also welcome all the participants from various institutions who are taking part in this FDP. I also extend a warm welcome to the FDP coordinators, organizing committee, and all the faculty members of Department of Commerce. Welcome you all once again. Now, I request Dr. Ankit Saxena to present his insights on the key framework that will help India achieve its visionary goals.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, I also need co-host right so that I can share my screen.
It's done, sir. You can share now.
Thank you so much. So good afternoon, everyone, and really thanks to you, ma'am, so that you have invited me to give a talk on this particular topic, and this is something really, really very emerging theme and very interesting topic for sure. So just before beginning my presentation here, my simple submission to all the participant will be, we'll sail through the data, we'll sail through this green finance, digital economy, policy framework, Viksit, Bharat that we are dreaming about. We all have a very, very important role to play as a educator, right? When I say, I really mean it because by heart, I have been part of this proud profession for around 20 years now. So initially, when I started teaching, obviously as a teacher, you start your journey and you vision yourself, what you'll be achieving in your life. So far I have been, all of us have their own partial success stories. So we say that, okay, we normally, say that, okay, we are publishing good, we are, doing these conferences, FDPs, all fine, all good. As a teacher, the role of the educator is changing a lot, and we all have to tighten our belts and basically move forward to this particular vision that Indian government is aiming for. So that is something like we all have a very serious responsibility. That's what I wanted to begin, because all these things ultimately will be facilitated by the education ecosystem as well. So that is my humble submission in the beginning. So what is the agenda of the session for today? In the next, 55 minutes, I'll be trying to sail through all these topics, taking a quick glance and understanding, exactly what is happening, what we are aiming for, and exactly, again, what I said, what is my role as an educator into that particular part, right? So then if we talk about, we'll be going through the introduction. We'll talk about some green finance evolution, the practices that are happening, some real examples, how the digital economic growth has been in India. Some very encouraging numbers are there. Then how you can converge both of them together, because the session title actually focuses on these two pillars. And then what policy framework, like for climate, green finance, digital economy, renewable energy, we are having. So all that will be putting together. And then finally, we'll try to sink in everything and see how Viksit Bharat 2047 vision or some synergy models we'll talk about, and see how this is going to operate, right? So this is the agenda of the session. So I'll be very happy to take up any discussion query if you have. So if I'll keep an eye on the chat box. So if some messages are there, I'll definitely take it at the very same time. So let's begin with this starting note. Very first thing is like the session title is very, very interesting, because Viksit Bharat, has a lot of pillars. We'll talk about that later. But if you want to develop the, uh, really, as a country, you want to be Viksit or developed, so you have to focus on the, infrastructure. And today's infrastructure, is not only the physical infrastructure. We are talking about digital infrastructure as well. So when you talk about digital infrastructure and when you talk about, the physical infrastructure, there are two different things. So we have been spending a lot on the physical infrastructure, unfortunately, and that is a big roadblock in our development. Still, there are a lot of work to be done in terms of improving the physical infrastructure in majority parts of the country. So, but apart from that, digital infrastructure is much needed in today's time, because data, speed, and that connectivity, are playing a very, very important role when it comes to any business model. And eventually, this has been a realization, I'll say the late realization. Uh, Most of the, in industry-oriented economies you see, I hope everyone is aware about when China was rushing for the industrial revolution, they compromised a lot on the climatic things. Other countries also are not any better at that particular part. So the industrial revolution comes at the cost, a lot of CO2 emission, a lot of renewable resources are not being utilized properly, and compromising on the quality of the raw materials that is being used. So everything was going on like that. But fortunately, later, or in the later part of this last decade especially, there has been an upsurge in the mindset of the people. They're talking about environment, and we have been talking about environment a lot earlier. We talked about so many eco things, but now this green word is coming up with everything. Earlier we used to think green only, green operations or green supply chain, but now you have everything green. So for me, in the beginning days of my acquaintance with this topic, green finance was a very, very interesting thing, that what we do, we are sitting in offices, what we can do about green things. But anyway, so that is, green finance has been emerging as well. So the financial investments that are being channeled towards the environmentally sustainable projects and generating positive ecological outcome, that is what we call the green finance. And digital economy is going to be the economy which is supported by the technology, and there are a lot of potential and support available that allows to leverage the infrastructure, data, and innovation. And all put together, if you would just imagine, we cannot rush through the pace of developing the physical infrastructure. But yes, digital infrastructure, I was just looking at one of the tech videos. I'm very fond of watching those tech videos. So I was seeing that, we see that 4G, 5G, and all these spectrums coming up. And some of the countries are operating at 7G. We are still happy with 5G. So one of our Indian-owned tech brands, they have developed a system, technique which can create the, uh, internet connectivity like that. So all these are service providers, so tech service providers. So what is the basic tech behind that? Now we are moving towards that thing, and probably we may be proud of it, but probably we are late. But nevertheless, the sooner you start. So that way, when country is going at the physical infrastructure development, that will be taking its own time and pace. But digital infrastructure, it has to be in the same pace as well, and I think that is more needed. So if you are digitally, advanced, and if you have environment in your mind, focusing on the projects and focusing on the ecological dream, might reality, come soon. So government is visioning that, okay, after 100 years of the total independence, that we will be achieving the Viksit Bharat vision, and this is what they are terming as Amrit Kal, 75 to 100 years, 200 years of independence. So the target is that we want to have net zero emissions by 2070, and trying to becoming a 5 trillion economy by 2030. So that is what government is aiming for. So moving forward with some quick stats, I'll not go and read everything. I'll share this content with the organizers so they can share. So, but there has been a lot of fascinating numbers. So India's development journey has been, from aspirations to action. If we talk, it has been a very fascinating journey. And India is the fifth largest economy, and the growth numbers are very lucrative. We have the youth advantage. We have a lot of working age individuals in 22 to 24 years, and they're English speaking as well. However, this has been one of I think this was the advantage, but somehow this English speaking youth has not been turning out to be the big advantage that it could be for India. What happened, we just marketed ourselves as a service economy. So when you can't do something, you can't have your customer service executive, we will provide you. So we started outsourcing mediocre services, I say, less than mediocre, in fact. And ideally, this 20 to 24 English speaking youth should have been, part of tech building, some high end service delivery, not the very low hanging kind of things. So that is where, I think government will definitely come up with something. So that is a crucial area, because eventually, the youth advantage is there in terms of the numbers, in terms of the technical efficiency, but probably we are not justifying the talent with the work that they are doing. And we do have, infrastructure ready, because if we talk about the internet subscriber numbers, or we talk about smartphone users, these are huge numbers. Majority of the, in fact, countries will not have that much of population, that much market we have. And startup boom is also happening. So a lot of, recognized startups are coming up. A lot many unicorns are being valued at, $450 billion, which is a big, decent number. Yeah, long way to go. Not a very something that we can be proud of, but yeah, we have begun, and it's a humble beginning. And I believe in next 10, 20 years, the things will be changing drastically. I can give you one example. Like my daughter, she's just around 12, and in fact, the younger one as well, she's just 7. And both of them, have this vision that they want to have their own startup, or they have some own setup, and which is very fine. And I really appreciate that, understanding, because when they, well, even at this age, this gen, this current gen is very, very advanced in the terms of observation, the kind of technological, familiarity they have. So she's always, very interesting and watching some stuff on, what kind of business ideas are going around, and all that, is very encouraging sign, and obviously, a lot of this is just two kids example I'm giving, and many kids do that, in fact. So that way, this is the point, and we have 23 years timeline. So we have the leapfrogging, opportunities there. So just I've got some messages, just checking that. Okay. Okay, there's a message from the coordinators for the audience slide. So this is something that we should keep an eye. Uh, if we talk about green finance, so green finance, is basically right now encompassing the, investments in the project with the positive environmental benefits. So people are starting to discuss about that particular part. Initially, it was all about the profit, but now that planet part is also coming into the picture. So triple bottom line or ESG, whatever way you call it. So now people are moving towards that environmental part also. So if the project is there, which is obviously commercially viable and feasible, and at the same time, it is also coming up with some environmental benefits. So there are many ideas like renewable energies, energy efficiency, sustainable agriculture, waste management, pollution control, biodiversity conservation. So all these things, are turning out to be the focal area of the green finance. So when we talk about the contribution, so this is basically, going to bridge the gap between the financial returns and the environmental sustainability, because at the same time, you cannot achieve both, to be honest. But somehow, if business units are thinking that way, so eventually the entire game changes. Because when we are talking about EV, when we are talking about any energy source being used for some purpose, we need to see both the sides, and we need to eventually evaluate. And a lot of investment are coming up these days with the products that are eco-friendly and environmental impact is positive. So financial viability is a very, very important part, but yeah, environmental impact is also being seen. So that is one understanding. Now, if we talk about the evolution of the green finance from the global perspective, so 1997, this term, has been mentioned in the first time in the academic literature, and then European Investment Bank first time, came up with their climate awareness bond in 2007. India, 2015, we saw that Yes Bank issuing the first India's green bond, and Yes Bank has been doing a lot of stuff over there. And if you just keep on seeing that, so green bonds and cumulative green bonds, numbers are increasing. And 2023, this number was near about $2.33 trillion, which is a decent number. And green finance now is integrating into the mainstream financial system, and that is happening globally. So now we are moving from specialized financial product to the core component of the financial system architecture. That is the, how market is evolving. Now, one more thing, like if you talk about India's finance journey, so Yes Bank, I always already told you, NTPC has come up with the, the green bond is again, Government of India, it's, issued in 2023, the first sovereign green bonds. And, if you talk about the cumulative issuance of these category in India, so this number has been near about $55.9 billion, and there has been a substantial 200% increase in this kind of categories. Municipal bonds, in fact, Ghaziabad and Indore. Indore is being ranked as one of the cleanest city in the country in that ranking. So they have come up with the urban green financing, so which is a very, very promising idea. So private sector share, if you talk about in 2024, that has been near about 84%. So that is a very clear sign that private sector is driving the market growth in this particular segment for sure. So this is just a quick glance of what is happening there. So if you just talk about what is happening, who is investing in green finance, so there are like financial institutions like banks. There are some prominent one I've just mentioned here. There are many like that. So there are some corporate pioneers out there who are investing in, who are adopting these green finance ecosystem things, and some public sector entities as well, like IREDA or NIIF, right? So they are also participating a lot in the green finance thing. So Yes Bank Green bond was the first thing that came up in India. So in 2015, they come up with the 1,000 crore nearly at that time $260 million rupees, $260 million, of 10-year maturity. And this purpose was, they will be exclusively finance renewable energy projects. So that was the sole purpose. And this was a pioneering signal of private sector's, sustainability commitment. So these are the days when the Yes Bank was in good shape. They are trying to recover, and still that journey, I think, is going on. But they have put a lot of efforts recently, but still they're not able to recover exactly what they have gone through. So the results, if you talk about the international investors, were having the confidence in the Indian green bonds. So the first mover advantage and the credible impact is something like that leads to the market confidence and the capital mobilization. That is what banks are basically talking about. So Yes Bank is still, doing a lot of stuff like that, and they have this particular thing going on. So if you talk about one more thing like solar energy transition, if we talk about, so the installed capacity in 2015 to 14 was just 2.5 gigabytes, which has, in current year is nearly about 100 gigabytes. So that is something like 40%, 40 times increase. If you talk about jobs, so there has been a substantial 31 times increase as well. And investment is going up as well. However, the investment numbers have not gone up with the amount of the capacity and the jobs that have been created. But yeah, that is still a positive sign. And the manufacturing capacity, was minimal in the year 2014, which we have been able to reach to the 46 gigabyte, which is operational, and that is the largest after the China. We were not ranked anywhere in the global, but now we are ranked third in this particular dimension, right? So these are some very healthy signs, and these are very encouraging numbers to me. And we are now one of the top tier players in solar energy transition. So all that, if imagine if we can move to solar energy. Solar energy is really, something that is going to be a game changer. That may be a game changer. So we are talking about a lot of things. Still, that has not been paced up the way government is, motivating. Government is now subsidizing on the solar panels for the household uses also, and they're coming with a lot of stuff. But still, initial cost probably is something like which has to be sort of dealt with. Some kind of lease option, if that may come, maybe I don't know. Government regulators and the policymakers may think on those lines. So these are the numbers in Indian context. And if you talk about the path ahead, so future target of the government is a very optimist number, that is 500 gigabytes. And they want to have 1,000 plus gigabytes renewable target by 2050. So that is going to be a huge milestone. So if we talk about one more example here, so that is green hydrogen push that has been the strategic priority national green hydrogen mission 2023. There has been a budget that has been close to 20,000 crore budget has been sanctioned for this particular thing, so which will produce 5 million metric tons of year of the green hydrogen by 2030. And this will be requiring like 125 gigabyte renewable energy capacity. So the early successes signs are there. So when we talk about right now, so 24,000 crores for solar and battery manufacturing, things are there, and it is creating the jobs, and export potential is very, very high. So international collaborations, with Japan, Germany, UAE are also taking place in this particular mission. Now, what are the barriers? We have talked about green finance, what's happening in India, where India is moving, all that stuff. So, what are the key barriers which are not, in the currently, which are stopping the rate at which we are moving ahead? So, the first challenge that is coming, that is the challenge on the green finance pathway financial barriers. So, as I said in the beginning, high upfront capital cost for renewable project is something that has to be dealt with, because let's say if I'm a company and even if I think that I want to be environment friendly, so I want to ensure that somehow my project's initial cost, I have to finance from somewhere. So when I'm financing that cost from somewhere, that is really a challenge. So that is something like initial cost, will come in my financing part as well, and I have to finance, and my cost will go up. Then I have to justify returns, and R greater than K is always a struggle game. So that is something is a big barrier, and sometimes awareness. Retail investors, as of now, to be honest, they are not aware about this green finance much. So something like SEBI has to do, and SEBI has to come up with some initiative or awareness campaigns regarding the green finance things, why they are important, and what companies are going to do with that. So something like awareness has to be shared. Uh, Sometime, this insufficient long-term patient capital is also one challenge, and currency risk is always there. So like when we talk about US dollars, so we always apprehend how weak our rupee can be. So people, those who are getting payments in dollars, they might be happy, but if you are getting payments in rupees and your currency is weakening like that, the way we have seen in the last few months, so then that may be an issue, especially when you're someone is investing in INR denominated bonds. So that is something a big challenge. Now, if we talk about the regulatory and policy gap, so I was very happy. I was going through for this particular session's preparation, and I discovered like so many regulations, so many things are being done by the government, and a lot of things are being done, but still. Something like some key definitions, like what do you exactly call green? So that regulation definition should be there, and the fragmented carbon markets or some complex multi-regulator landscape is there. So RBI is doing their stuff, SEBI is doing their stuff, other bodies are doing their stuff. So we need also a very stronger ESG disclosure standard, because it has to be mandated, and it has to be coming to the reaching to the people and public, and there has to be some mechanism for rewarding good ESG scores. And we also need to see that fabrication is not being done. So sometimes things are happening in the books of accounts and annual reports, but we don't see anything practically happening on the ground. That is something we have been struggling for long. Like corporate governance is there, and the company that was awarded 3 years on the trot for the best corporate governance practices. I'm talking about Satyam in 2006-7, and then suddenly they went bankrupt, and something was not going correct, and the entire definition of corporate governance was at stake at that time. So these kind of issues still prevail. We have a lot of regulations, but somewhere we need to have good rewards for the good players, and at the same time identifying the malpractices if whatsoever is existing anywhere. So that is one thing. Another thing is the operational challenges. So when you talk about the non-energy sectors, so there is like a very limited scope for trying something in green. So if I'm not using anything related to energy, my product is something like that is a core service which is not requiring any form of energy. So then what should I do in green? And we also have skill gaps in green finance structuring. Some kind of climate risk assessment data is not available. Infrastructural gaps may be there, and solutions are there. SEBI has introduced this BRSL framework. I'll discuss about that later. And RBI is coming up with their own climate risk information system, that is CRIS. And there are some green credit programs as well for private sector participation, and regulatory sandbox for innovative testings are there. So this is something government is aiming for and they're trying for. So these are the things that if we put together. So initially the top three especially. So we need to understand and accordingly respond, and then only this green finance can come to the way we want, right? Now coming to the digital economy, because this first part we have covered. The green finance and what has been done and what are the issues and challenges that we face. Now we talk about the digital economy. Digital economy, we have been doing pretty well, to be honest. And I hope you must have seen whenever some head of a state, any prime minister, any president, whosoever visits India. And I really like something about this thing about Modi ji. Don't take it anyway. I say good, and bad. I'm not a politically biased person. So one thing that I really like about that person, and that should be a normally stature of the head of this country, that when the German president visited India, German prime minister, I believe, so he showed that how we are accepting digital payments on local vegetable vendors, tea vendors, and like that. And that person, was amazed to see. And to be honest, we anticipate and we expect that everything, we are doing and we are lagging too much, and probably they are far ahead of us. But he was so amazed to see that a person who is not literate but he has a mobile, he has a QR code at his shop, and we can scan the code and we can give the money to that person, and he's accepting it. So today that has been such an ease when you move around and you are using these methods. So digital economy is growing like anything, and these numbers are very, very encouraging. And if we see the progression, that has been wonderful. So the digital revolution, if I talk about by numbers, so the contribution to GDP is nearly, 11.74%, which is a huge number. So that's nearly, 31 lakh crore rupees. And the total workers, those who are employed in this particular part, somehow is 2.55% of the total workforce. So 14.67 million people are contributing right now. This productivity is like definitely 5 times more than the rest of the economy. And the growth rate is, over the last decade has been 17.3 versus the overall economy's growth rate of 11.8. So we are third largest digitalized economy globally, and we are 12th among the G20 nations in digital user digitalization. And that's something really fascinating. This is a big challenge when you talk about a country with this much of population, and assuming that everyone will be part of the digital economy. It's a really big task and challenge. We were talking about financial inclusion. We still talk about financial inclusion. Where we talk about the people in the society or the segment of the society, they are not part of the formal financial system. Still, they are not having their own accounts. Literacy is playing their part. Livelihood is another issue. Constant sources of incomes are not there. And then government came up with that Jan Dhan Yojana. Government started with the no-frill accounts, and very eased banking norms were also, proposed and practiced. And that eventually, probably somehow has worked, and subsidies were given directly. Direct benefit transfer was used in India. So eventually, we somehow have been successful in terms of creating an ecosystem, at least, convincing the people to use the mobile and also using the digital methods of banking, so that people have seen the convenience, people have seen that that trust is there, and that transaction failure. If you imagine if this would have been, a total disaster and failure if 5 out of 10 transactions were failing. So that transaction failure rate has been very low. Transaction decline rate has been very low, and the reversal of these kind of things is there, and that has probably given the confidence and boost to the digital economy in India. So that's something we should appreciate, and still this number can further go up like anything. So if we talk about total, global capability centers, so 45% of them are hosted in India, and 55 GCCs are in major cities, and now they're also expanding to tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And if you talk about composition, so ICT services, they are totally, 7.83% of the total GVA, and digital platforms are 2%, and the digitalization in the traditional sectors, BFSI, retail, and education, are also contributing 2%. So moving forward from here, one few more numbers. I'll not read every number again, but a few more numbers. So we are assuming that this total, will keep on growing, and maybe like 20% of the GDP in the next 6 years. And that's will be the growth rate will be nearly 2 times faster than the overall economy. And digital economy may surpass the agriculture, which is 14% of the GDP, and digital economy, will exceed the manufacturing, which is currently 14 to 15% of GDP. And digital economy may become the largest single sector of India's economy. So a lot of jobs we are expecting, 25 plus million jobs we are expecting about coming from this particular part. So this is something thing. And if you talk about digital payment specifically, so digital payment, total words finance digital transactions, if you talk about, so India is like dominating the 46% of the, total words digital payment transactions. They have the India into that particular thing. And if you talk about the transaction volume, you just look at this table. It was in 2012-13, it was merely 1.62 crores, and the transactions, took place to Fab in 2023 to 24, were nearly 15,000 crores. 19 times growth was observed over there. And in the market share, as I told you, that we are the global leader, and we assume that by 2026, this might touch the USD $10 trillion, and this will be the 65% of all the payments that happen across the globe. So big numbers. And again, what I said, what may be the enablers here, the government, just a minute, some other checkbox queries are there. Okay, again from the So the enablers here, are what the government demonetization policy. People may criticize that, but eventually, I remember my father was apprehensive of using this Paytm or Google Pay, something like that. But eventually, at that time, when he realized this might work, that was one thing. And in fact, COVID-19 also, accelerated that trust somehow, because we were threatened that if you touch the notes and if you will just because normally we have that bad habit of okay. Now, there's a message that I've shared, so mhm, please you can join this particular link as has been shared by the coordinators to me. I have just put that for everyone, so those who are interested, they can join this particular uh, I think it's a WhatsApp group. So they are talking about upcoming research and publication related updates over there. So it's a good initiative. I think we must join. So UPI is like total, handles of total 80% of the digital payments in India. So that UPI platform is playing a very leading role here. And when we talk about internet subscribers and mobile phone users, that is again a very, very big enabler. And we have a lot of people using internet enabled mobile now. So that is something very important. In fact, government has even gone without internet, you can also use the lot of payment systems. You can transfer money, you can pay the amounts, even the petty amounts, using some USSR codes, which is being there. But still, I don't think that is very much popular. People are more convenient with this method of scanning and paying so that they know exactly what has been paid. He has received on that money. So that is something is going on. So again, that's a good positive number. We talk about one more dimension of the digital economy, and then we'll talk about the Viksit Bharat and the policy framework in the last 15 minutes. So just before that, covering this leg of the digital economy as well. So when we talk about the e-commerce and digital platforms, so the digital platforms, is like engine of the digital economy, and this is like the most important part. And the total, growth rate, if we talk about here, is the 30% annually, which has been the highest. And we all know that how we are using Amazon, Flipkart, and in fact, recently these grocery, platforms which are coming up, e-commerce platforms like this Zepto or Blinkit or something like that, Instamart. In fact, Reliance Jio is coming in that segment as well. So that way, that has been a very, very added advantage, because when you used to earlier, you still we order things by Flipkart and Amazon, but that's used to take like 1 or 2 days. But now everything is available in 10, 12 minutes. So they also, will have to revise their game method now, and it's a wonderful thing for the consumers by and large, because at times you might be requiring things, and it's not convenient for a lot of single people, those who are living, or even family people, when they cannot move out due to any health situation or any other situation. So this kind of innovation in the delivery timing has definitely changed the entire game space again. So there are a lot of e-commerce revolution happening, and there's a lot of green finance opportunity when you talk about the green e-commerce logistics, when you talk about the carbon neutral last minute deliveries and all that stuff. So a lot of jobs have been created, and we expect a lot of indirect jobs coming into the economy with the help of this. One more leg of the digital economy is the fintech. So initially, this fintech and digital lending was gaining momentum, but people were not having that much of access. But now peer-to-peer lending platforms are there. There are a lot of digital wallets. If you talk about, there are 500 plus million users all put together, and the growth rate is very huge, 25%. There's a regulatory framework that comes and observes everything, so that something is obviously has to be maintained, because otherwise people trust may go on the other side. Now, another role that is very important, that the AI adoption. And I really feel when I see that every country is putting a lot of investments in the AI. This is a very, very dual-edged sword, I know, when I say that, but still, when you talk about ChatGPT, or you talk about, Perplexity, or if you talk about any other thing, so people are, investing a lot in the AI, and we do have a lot of AI talent. So the India is supplying 18% of the AI, global AI talent, but we should have, AI service provider in our own country, coming from our own country. We do provide a lot of skills who builds all these, high-end engines, but unfortunately, I really want to see that India coming up with their own AI system. So something like has to be done. So AI skill penetration, we are globally ranked one as per the Stanford AI Index 2024, and a lot of Indian businesses have implemented the AI in their own setups, which is 23%, and that is a leading number across the globe. And future adoption, if we talk about, so we normally look to see that the global average is 52%, and we might go beyond 70. So it's a huge market, definitely. Uh, 2030, this may even be crossing the number that I have written over here, and GDP contribution will definitely increase, and job creation will be a huge number, definitely. A lot many job opportunities coming up with the process of AI, and people are obviously apprehending that AI might kill their jobs. As a teacher, someone told me, no, who will be taught by you? You'll not be needed. AI will come and teach everything, and he'll have the better content. So all these apprehensions are there, but yeah, I believe AI will definitely facilitate few things, and what future is coming up, we don't know. So there's no point panicking about it. Better than apprehending about something that is obviously inevitable, but it's better to get away with that, and get gel with that, and try to master that for your better thing. So now I'm a better facilitator in terms of when I was not having AI. Now today I have AI. So my delivery, my content has been better. So this extraction of the valuable information, meaningful insights, and sometimes like AI can give you the data sometime, but how do you use and process that? Human minds has no limitation as well. So that's something is also on the card. Another thing that talks about the digital infrastructure, that is AI. After AI, we talk about internet and broadband infrastructure. I've pointed out these numbers earlier. So we have a lot of digital infrastructure mission, and we are aiming for you know very huge amount of investment in the infrastructure related to the internet and broadband. So these are the things, and I've just mentioned few things that are, what we are trying to achieve. In internet infrastructure, we are trying to achieve 100% village connectivity by 2030. We want to deliver 5G to all the major cities. Fiber to home expansion is also on the go, and satellite internet may be one solution for the remote areas where we are not able to reach via wired networks. So now, if we just put these topics together, what we have discussed by now, so the synergy is much needed. So when we talk about the green finance, and when we talk about the digital innovation, so all these things are coming together in hand. And that is something like green tech startups, is one word that has come. So they have received, 25 CAGR in funding. So eventually, both things coming together might be a very, very good idea for digital, for Viksit Bharat. So the energy synergies, something I've just tried to chalk down here. So there are a few areas where this is happening: renewable energy, carbon markets, ESG investing, and circular economy. You can see the green finance roles here, and you can see the digital role here. And if all put together, this definitely, improves financial efficiency. So like if you talk about carbon markets, so green finance may be used as a trading mechanism, while digital roles, may provide you a digital platform and AI verification method, and eventually leading to the lower transaction cost and so on. So if we talk about the circular economy, we may achieve decent waste reduction, when we put them together. Uh, so India's commitment, if you talk about the policy framework, so India's commitment is very, very uh, prominent here. The Panchamrit pledge that has been taken, we are aiming for 500 gigawatt non-fossil energy capacity by 2030. We are trying to, 50% energy requirement from the renewable sources by 2030. Currently, we are at 46%. We are trying to reduce the CO2 emissions by 1 billion tons by 2030, and carbon intensity by 45% by 2030. Currently, we have reached to the 33%, and we are looking for net zero emissions by 2070. So all that is there, and government has put their own initiatives for that thing, like a National Action Plan on Climate Change, NEPCCC, and long-term low carbon development strategies, LDES. So that is something government has proposed, and they are implementing definitely to achieve the India's climate commitments. So this was, 2021 Glasgow's COP26. Things were discussed, and every country has shown their commitment to achieve all these targets. Now, if we talk about the policy framework, so what green finance frameworks, government has implemented. So RBI has come up with a series of, green finance regulations. So when it comes to the climate-related financial risk framework development, they have designed. They have also come up with, as I earlier told you, CRIS, that is Climate Risk Information System. So that will help, the users and as well as the corporate entities to plan their, green finance initiatives accordingly. And digital lending guidelines, and promoting the responsible fintech, that has been one key aspect, because still a lot many people are, cheated, especially when it comes to digital lending. People get part of some scams. So something that government is trying to achieve here, right? So that is uh, being done. And some regulatory sandbox boxes for the green finance innovation is also on the card, and guidelines on sustainable lending practices is also there. Now, SEBI also comes into the picture, because SEBI is somehow dealing with the corporates in terms of because they interact with the investors, those who are investing their money over there. So they have come up with the business responsibility and sustainability reporting framework. So that is mandated on top 1,000 listed companies. And they have also core, standardized ESG disclosure, which has been effective from financial year 22-23. They have introduced green credit program, which will track every company's environmental contribution. That is something really very good. And value chain reporting is also on the card. So ESG disclosures for supply chain partners, and green bond framework. So classification, verification, and reporting standards is also being implemented. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, because they also have something to do with the climate and the environment. So they have come up with their own programs. Recent years, Green Credit Program was one, which has been SEBI's framework part as well, and National Green Hydrogen Mission, which we discussed, where they've allocated nearly 20,000 crore rupees, and production-linked incentives are also being offered. So for renewable manufacturing, they are sanctioning nearly 24,000 crores. And smart cities mission, it has been on the card for very long. There was a huge hype when we talked about the gift city. The things are coming in shape, but still that pace has not been very encouraging. So we will see, how does that go. So that is also one thing that Ministry of Environment is proposing. Now, if we talk about the regulation, about the digital economy. So obviously, because digital economy is more towards the uses of the digital instruments or digital infrastructure for the maybe for financial transactions or some similar transactions. So like RBI has RBI Digital Economy Oversight, if you talk about. So there are digital lending guidelines in 2022. The fintech department they have come up with now, and there's a RBI's regulatory sandbox, which test innovative digital financial products. And digital banking units, are being coming up. So 75 unit have been established in undeserved, un, you know, uh, penetrated districts so far. And then we talk about the CBDC, so central bank digital currency. I have not used it. One of the RBI official recently visited our university, and they showed us that how the digital rupee pilot programs are working, and it was fascinating to see. So in mobile, you can keep your currency, and again, like very similarly as we do in the UPI, you can make the transactions and payments as well. So that was very interesting to see, though someone who's using it, definitely they have already the access to that particular number. So just one more thing. SEBI's, SEBI has come up with their own investor advisor guidelines, and they have their primary market regulations, digital IPO processes, and they're also talking about high frequency trading and algo trading oversight. And data protection and privacy, because when you talk about a lot of digital things, the data privacy is a concern. So cybersecurity rules and Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023 and RBI Master Direction, is also being IT, outsourcing oversight that is also being there. So a lot of policy framework, if you say, uh, let it be the green finance or let it be the digital economy. So RBI, SEBI, they are putting all their thoughts and trying to regulate everything which is needed so that the ecosystem is there, and eventually everyone is getting fair bit of their piece. So no one is cheated, no one is defaulting, and that economic growth will be ensured only after that. So when we talk about the renewable energy sector, so there are a lot of numbers. I'm just skipping this particular slide because you're left with the less time to wind up. But in quick sense, if you say the targets are there, and 2014 where we were, in 2025 where we are, and still there has been a decent growth, but we need to fill this gap in next 5 years. So let's see, we'll be able to achieve that numbers or not. Now, if you talk about Viksit Bharat, so this is something like the core vision. So the statement that comes here is the transforming India into a self-reliant, developed, inclusive, and sustainable nation by 2047. So that is what the century year of the independence, and outpacing the traditional development pathways through green finance and digital economic integration. That has been this part of this session. Now, if we talk about the pillars, there are four pillars that have been part of the Viksit Bharat initiative. The first pillar is Yuva, that is youth. So they'll be part of the employment things. We are expecting a lot of entrepreneurship, startups, some unicorn coming up from them, and skill developed, in terms of digital and as well as green sectors. So that's what their role is going to be. There's another pillar like that is the garib, or what we call poor. So we will, we have to ensure that somehow we have to include everyone in the financial inclusion. Fintech might play a very, very important role over there. And uh, again, I repeat, the financial lending has been one gray area in terms of the digital economy of growth of India. Transactions, are easy, but somehow we need to further tighten up the things over there. And when we talk about a lot of green job opportunities, so this segment might get some advantage. DBT digitalization, will definitely will be one key enabler of making sure that they are also somehow being part of the journey. Mahilaएं, or that is women. So we are estimating that a lot of women will come up with their own startup ideas, and their digital enterprises might be there. So there are 80,000, nearly 75,000 women-led startups. And green finance access, we assume that 30% of the projects for the women-led initiatives are there. So that is one another pillar, and the final pillar is the farmer, the annadata. So for them, they also still the number of startups are not very high over there, but agri-tech is also emerging these days. So if we focus on the empowering of Yuva, Garib, Mahila, and Annadata, that is youth, poor, women, and farmers, respectively, then the this dream or vision of Viksit Bharat is definitely on the card. So moving forward, and these are the five transformational themes that have been given. So empowered Indians we are talking about, where we talk about digital literacy, skill development, healthcare, education, thriving and sustainable economy. We are talking about 5x of manufacturing output. We have been hearing about this 5 trillion economy. Zero poverty. I really wonder, is that possible? But yeah, uh, hopefully will be achieved to that uh, soon. And 100% quality education, and that is where our role is very, very important, and 100% skilled labor. So I normally have changed my way of teaching these days. Earlier, my mode of teaching was more towards the enabling their minds to think. Initially, I was just teaching them the facts. Then I thought, no, my job as a teacher is to enable and provide a situation and let them think and apply the theory concepts that they have learned in the class to a real problem. So if they do that, that definitely improve their thinking skills, and accordingly their cognitive skills will improve. So that's what, as an educator, we can contribute here. And all AI that we are talking about for governance and innovation, green hydrogen, circular economy. So this innovation, science, and technology is one also transformational theme. That will be like another thing is good governance and security. So we need to ensure that governance is there. Cybersecurity is one big thing. And eventually, when we talk about India in the world, so India should be looked as a global manufacturing hub. So Make in India is a good initiative there, but to be honest, it has been more of assembling in India. Hopefully soon this will have the real definition of Make in India. And green tech exports, USD 200 plus billion dollars by 2030, what we are expecting. So all these things, all put together, will definitely be contributing to the things. So if you just summarize everything, and if I just put everything together, so the green finance and digital economy, will play a pivotal role in the Viksit Bharat. So green finance will help the capital mobilization, the sector transformation, employment generation, climate alignment, and inclusive growth. While digital economy will play a huge role in terms of economic growth, creating jobs, more productivity, and innovation and inclusion. Inclusion is a key for Viksit Bharat. And if you just summarize this, all these things all put together, what risk may come, how the mitigation will be done. So like this is one slide that I've prepared. So just summary of that slide is that there will be risk. Definitely, when you're aiming for something big, there'll be risk. So when you're talking about like digital inclusion, so there's a risk of rural digital divide. So somewhere, BharatNet fiber expansion might be needed. Some satellite internet might be needed, like 75%, 75 plus digital banking unit that I talked about is a low number, but we will have to expand these kind of initiatives. So that may be needed, right? When we are talking about the such a big thing, so we are looking for a huge pool of talent. In India, the problem is that our cream of the talent leaves the country. So we have to somehow retain them in India. Skill India mission will be, maybe one mitigation strategy, a TAL innovation mission that government is aiming. Government is also going for university partnerships. So there are different challenges that will turn up in this particular process, but there are mitigations, possible, and then eventually that will be the process. So conclusion, if I just say that by 2019-30, 5 years away, we will look at these numbers. The renewable energy might touch to 500 gigabytes. We are nearly half of that capacity right now. We are looking for a huge number, 3 lakhs plus startups. Right now, we are at 1 lakh 66,000. And by 2047, we'll be looking for a bigger number, and 500 plus million people in the middle class. That's what we are aiming for. And manufacturing and services at developed nation productivity levels, as we see in US or some other countries. So good vision, and hopefully, if this happens to be the reality, definitely will be proud uh, member of this journey. So that's it from my side. And if you have any queries, I'll be very happy to take up them. And I have just crossed the time limit by 1 minute. I joined 1 minute late also. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir. As we come to the end of this enriching session, participants, if you have any queries or clarification, you can please proceed.
One question I'll share to everyone, and I started with that question in the beginning itself. Please think how we can contribute to this vision. As an educator, what can I do? What can be my role? Small, that squirrel story in the Ramayana is very fascinating when she was just trying to go to the water, take some sense, and then trying to go to the stones and trying to build those stones. And nothing was happening probably, but yeah, that vigor was there, and probably something we should focus. And our small efforts can bring bigger changes. Sometimes that sounds impractical, but it's a realistic thing. I've seen lives changing, with small words, small acts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. As we come to the end of this enriching session, I wish to express heartfelt gratitude on behalf of the organizing committee and all participants. First and foremost, thank you to Dr. Ankit Saxena for sharing his in-depth knowledge and valuable perspective on green finance and the digital economy. Your insights have sparked thoughtful conversations and inspired us to adopt invocation approaches towards achieving this vision, Viksit Bharat 2047. I would like to thank our beloved HOD, Head of the Department, Dr. Madhu Dhruva Kumar, for her constant help and guidance. And I also thank FDP coordinators for organizing such an insightful event. Let us continue to build on today's learning and strive the excellence in our individual and collective roles with what we draw in day two to close. So let us meet again in day three, where another interesting and insightful session awaits. Thank you for all the participants from various institutions for being a part of this FDP. And for your kind information, the feedback link will be shared on Friday, that is on the last session of this FDP program. So looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ankit, sir.